How many photos should you be taking if you're the wedding photographer, or if you are a wedding photographer? It's a question which I didn't get, but it's somebody made a little comment here on one of my channels talking about the Nikon D800, and he's saying that he's an old-fashioned type of photographer who likes to get it right in camera and not like the current photographers who shoot 7 frames a second at weddings and hope for the best, so storage isn't a problem. I don't quite understand what he says, but what he's saying is that he takes 500 photos per wedding, and I'm quite surprised by that. For me, pretty much average is around about 1,000 photos is what I would take at any wedding. And yes, if I was using film, hell no, I wouldn't be taking that. And yes, if it was in the days of film, I would imagine that my clients would be expecting like 100 photos. But nowadays, because of digital, my clients expect around about 1,000 photos. But what I actually do is I take about 1,000. There's many situations where the number of photos that I take just aren't used, and I don't edit, and I usually supply the clients with around about anywhere between 200 to 300 finalized images. But the real question is, how many photos should you be taking per wedding? And that is a case of how long is a piece of string. You can have a wedding where somebody says, can you just come along and take a couple of photos of me at the registry office. That's going to be barely more than 50 photos. So it's them walking in, getting married, kissing, walking out, a couple of shots with their friends. Done and dusted. The weddings which I do usually are larger weddings and longer ones. So one of my options in the weddings which I do is doing it from like preparation to second dance. Second or third dance. So preparation, here's a list of some of the ideas which I'll be shooting. So I've had to write this down. So usually if they're doing a wedding from preparation to second dance, I usually always have a second photographer with me as well, so you can do some of the other shots there while I'm dealing with the bride, or he can shoot the groom while I'm dealing with the bride, or he can shoot the venue while I'm dealing with the couple. But yeah, so from the very start there'll be bridal preparation, so shots of the hair getting done, both of the bride and the bridesmaids, her dress hanging up, the dress going on, the dress being on, also shots of the shoes, always quite important, any kind of jewellery or hair things, close-up macro shots, stock, not so much stock shots, but material shots to get of that. The makeup, not necessarily being put on, because you don't really want to get shots before they've got their makeup on, but once it's been done, usually the makeup artist always wants a couple of shots as well. Or just get a shot of the kind of makeup that was being used, or the makeup artist applying the stuff as they're getting ready. Just the idea of the memory of the getting ready part of the wedding as well, and also the location where they're getting ready. So that could be in a different house, different building, maybe in a different hotel somewhere else. So there you go, that's about 100 photos done there already. I'm not going to take one photo of the shoes, one photo of the hair, one photo of the makeup. I'm going to do at least 4 or 5 different shots of the shoes, maybe in different angles, different lighting, different background. And then it's also to see where or what that would fit best with when finally doing the album. Then you've got, so once they're all ready, the mum and dad are there with the bride, then it's the travelling to the actual location. It might be they're just walking from one room to another, but you've got to get the shots of maybe the bride and her dad beforehand, the bride and her mum and dad, the bride and the bridesmaids beforehand. So that's another about 20, 30 photos, getting that sorted up. And then it's thinking, do we have it so that they are all together or separate or one in front? And then it's them walking to the venue, so you've got those shots as well. Once they get to the venue, so we're not even talking about in the actual wedding part, they're maybe just getting into the building where they have the wedding. So as they come in, they maybe meet the registrar or the celebrant or minister, and then they will guide them through. The minister will go in, get shots of the groom at the actual place. Oh, we even missed the whole, maybe they're getting a fancy car, so it's the shots of getting in the car, the shots of once they're in the car, and then once maybe a shot as the car is going somewhere. Then it's after that you get them getting out of the car, then the shots of them arriving at the place, and then it's down the aisle. So already we're up to at least 300 photos worth of shots being done, and we've just got to the actual wedding. Shots of them coming in, going down the aisle, going past you, so shots from in front, shots from behind, shots from the side. Then it's when they're actually getting married at the front. You've got a crowd shot, the venue and crowd shot, the venue crowd and wedding couple shot. Then you've got the adding of the rings. You've got anybody that's doing a speech or a singing part or whatever. Shots of them again. Them individual, them with the group, them with the whole location, so wide angle, Titan shots, all stuff like that. And what else? So, and then it's putting on the rings, then it's the kiss, which is the main one, then it's the cheer, then it's them walking out of the place. So while all that's being done, I may have somebody else going around and getting close-up shots of the bows of the however they've decorated the chairs, the flowers of the ceremony, the shots of the writing of the registrar, whenever you say, yes, I am getting married. So you've got all that. Shots, like close-up shots of the rings afterwards or beforehand, and behind the head shots of certain people with like fancy, some people have got hats on or something like that. You want to have shots like that as well. Okay, so that's them up to the point of being married. So easily, that's 500 photos so far. And if that's all that you're doing, fine. Yes, that's you done your wedding. But pretty much all the weddings I do, there's always a pretty serious get-together afterwards, a meal, and then some dancing. So this is where you get the other 500 photos going. So after they've just got married and they've walked out, there's sometimes also a shot where they'll be meeting and greeting everybody at the wedding, or as they come out of the church or wherever it is, they might be going, hello, nice to meet you. So you've got shots, potentially over-the-shoulder shots of the bride and groom meeting each individual person. So you've got shots where you've at least got one photo of every single guest. I would always... there's many times that a lot of people kind of go, who came to our wedding? Were they here? What did they look like? Were they with their partner? Sometimes there are lots of, please come along, and a +1. And the +1 is maybe they're a friend which the actual bride and groom haven't ever met before. So that's why sometimes getting shots of every individual person is actually pretty good. Also then group shots of the people as well. So if it's just outside the church, you've got the group shots, there'll be individual people talking to each other, just getting shots of them as well. And if you're having 100 people at a wedding, that's easily 200 photos getting done there. Like 100 photos of each person individually, and potentially 2 photos each of a group, because one person might be looking that way, another person might be looking that way, another one's going, oh, are we smiling now? And getting it all the time. Because generally these events are just such a kind of social gathering that people are usually just busy chatting away, that the photographer is someone who, until I am organising everyone for the group shot, I'm just the guy there shooting it and getting people to kind of interact and mingle with one another while I'm shooting, getting more natural shots rather than everyone just stand and look posed. There will be pose shots as well at this point, so it may be like the bride and groom may have given you a list of I want it with me, the bride and groom, with my parents, with his parents, with both our parents, with my bridesmaids, and then with just the best men, and then with all the men at the whole party, then all the old women at the party, then all the old women at the party. So there's a potential of another easily 100 different type of shots that you can get, where it's just or just my grandparents, just his grandparents, my parents and grandparents, but not his grandparents, and all that kind of stuff. So it can go on and on and on and on and on. So getting through those is probably a good one to do efficiently. So those are the ones which I set up, make sure the lighting is in the right, right way that I want it, and I try and do no more than 2 or 3 photos. You should never just do one, because if you do one, it will always be to the point where you're so busy organising people to move in that way, okay, everyone ready, we're all going to be smiling, 3, 2, 1, take the shot. Somebody will be mid kind of going, what are we doing? And just like, oh, you've just ruined the photo. So it's always taking about 2 or 3 photos until you know that you've definitely got one that actually works. So it's not getting the lighting right, it's not the white balance, it's not the exposure, it's not the depth of field, it's getting the people, especially a group of everyone paying attention at the right time and timing it correctly so they'll look at the camera or look happy instead of one person being like in the background because they're mid drinking a funny drink or something like that. So again, yeah, there's another kind of 200 photos worth. Then you've got the meal, you've got photos of the actual food coming out, the speeches, again, the table decorations, the flowers in the place, if you're having a band, that going on, the cake, definitely the cake cutting shots as well. So after you've done all that, then it's onto the dance floor, then it's the kind of first dance. You're not going to do 1 or 2 shots there, that's going to be a whole bunch of photos getting done there of the first dance, where it's usually just the bride and groom, and then it's the group shots of everyone on the dance floor, and then it's the kind of party shots that you want to get after that, and then potentially there's also at this point another time where you and the bride and groom will go off for separate photos where you are just doing kind of cutesy photos where it's just the two of them. Maybe this is at night time. You may have done this already at a point earlier on in the day, maybe just after the actual wedding ceremony, so the first photos of them once they've just been married. So, as you can see from this video, I've gone on for about 10 minutes as fast as I can, paraphrasing pretty much a lot of the ideas and sections of a wedding. So to say, oh, I do it right, I get it right in camera, I only take 500 photos, that's great. However, some weddings, you can get it all right in the camera, you can get it, all the lighting sorted, all the locations, apps, every photo perfect, but you're still doing 1,000 photos. From what I do know is I know a couple of wedding companies, or wedding photography companies, which they say there's not a chance that they can do a wedding without taking 2,000 photos. And they are professional wedding companies, not just your Joe Bloggs with his point and shoot going 7 frames a second, like what you're saying there, but professional companies which are doing a 2-man shoot, they will be taking 2,000 photos, and then their skill is to edit that 2,000 down to around about 500 photos. So yeah, scale of photos for a wedding, it can be anywhere between 50, if it's just take a photo of me getting married, to 2,000 quite easily if it's a giant ceremony, loads of people, lots of separate bits going on. And you know, the second shooter also taking another 1,000 photos on top of that. Anyway, there you go. Hope that helps. Bye bye.